Hello, and welcome to another episode of Emotionally Intelligent Entrepreneur Podcast. Now, in the last episode, Mario Sikora introduced an idea that what we are at the core is a mythology. And today, we're going to dig deeper into this concept because, when fully understood, it can have a powerful impact on personal growth and transformation. Whereas on the flip side, ignoring it is like wearing invisible handcuffs that limits your opportunities without you even knowing it. So let's get started. What you believe in yourself, your identity, your strengths, your limitations, is your personal mythology. Personal mythology is a collection of stories that you tell yourself about yourself. Those deeply ingrained beliefs that shape how you experience life. These stories influence how you see the world, how you interpret your experiences, and ultimately how you act. Have you ever noticed yourself thinking, this is just who I am? I've always done this way. This is your personal mythology at work. It is the narrative your brain created to make sense of everything, from your daily habits to most significant life decisions. But here's the challenge. Your brain is wired to predict the future based on what you've experienced in the past. It is trying to keep you safe, trying to help you survive. It means that every time you face something new, your brain is scanning for any resemblance to past events. What you've seen, what you've heard, what you've felt, and what you have experienced altogether. Once it finds something similar, it connects the dots, and even if the connections aren't really accurate. Let me break it down with two examples of what kind of conditioning and memory connections we adopt for life. First, let's look at social influence. Now, from a very young age, we look for others for cues on how to behave. Think about it. As kids, we watched our parents or relatives how they handled challenges. We might have mimicked them or maybe even rejected their way of doing things and carved out our own path. Whether we follow the crowd or push against it, those responses are shaped by the stories we've internalized from our environment. It's instinctual, yet how you uniquely respond to influences outside can vary very significantly from others. Some of us mirror what we see, others rebel against it, but the influence is still there. Secondly, we have memory connections. Now, our brain is incredible at associating the present with the past. Think about it how a particular song can instantly take you back to a time in your life, a memory so vivid, it's like you're living it. Your brain draws the connections between the present and stored memories, recalling past emotions, outcomes, and meanings. It is automatic. And it happens all the time, do you like it or not? For instance, maybe you walk into a room and the smell is like a childhood home. For some, you can suddenly feel a wave of nostalgia or even anxiety based on what those memories hold for you. So, without even realizing it, we experience life through these automatic filters, what we've processed and understood from the past. It shapes how we respond right now. But here's the thing, you're not trapped with those stories. This isn't some fatalistic, you have no free will narrative. I believe we do have free will, and it starts and begins with self awareness. Without self awareness, we are on autopilot. It's like being a highly trained machine, but one that has distortions, biases, and even hallucinations baked into the code. You see, the stories we tell ourselves aren't always accurate. They are limiting, As well as every time we remember something from the past, our memory tends to distort it more and more. But with self awareness, we can take a pause, reflect, and rewire those stories. Now, self awareness isn't something you master in a day. It isn't something that you can go to a retreat and be able to say that now I'm enlightened and I have the capacity to do it all. No, it is a skill. It requires patience and practice over and over again. But it is one of the most powerful skills we can develop because it gives us the ability to retrain our brain's autopilot system. Let me share the foundation with you of this idea. So, our brain works much like a muscle. The more a certain group of neurons fire together, the stronger these connections become. This, at the essence, is called synaptic plasticity. You may have heard the phrase that the neurons that fire together wire together, a phrase coined by Donald Hebb. This means that the more often certain thoughts or behaviors are repeated, the more deeply ingrained they become in our brains. So, for example, if you constantly tell yourself you're not good with technology, you reinforce that belief, and over time, it becomes second nature to avoid and feel anxious about anything tech related. But if you start visualizing yourself confidently handling technical challenges and practicing navigating new software and tools, you can slowly begin to rewire your brain. At first, it will feel like riding a bike, clumsy and awkward. But the more you do it, the more natural you become in it. And here's the beauty of it: you've already proven to yourself that you can adapt and grow. Think about it. All major transitions you've gone through in life, starting school, beginning a new job, getting married, having kids, each of these transitions forced you to adapt your beliefs and your behaviors. You didn't know how to handle these things right away. You figured it out as you went along, practicing it. And this is a great example that we can find in a movie called Inside Out 2. It's most recent movie, and I especially recommend watching it to get a glimpse at the idea how our identity is forming throughout childhood. Is good for your personal awareness training as well as getting a little more sense about what your child may live through and is living through right now if you have one. Now, if you've watched it, remember how the emotions were shaped, how emotions shaped the identity of the main character? Their strong emotional moments formed belief systems that, basically became of what she believed about herself. But new experiences unfolded, and those beliefs evolved as well. This happens to all of us. The identities shift as we adapt to new experiences. So, here's the key takeaway: you're not stuck in the narrative you've been telling yourself up till now. As an entrepreneur and a leader, it's crucial to examine the stories that you might be limiting your potential with. Are you telling yourself that maybe you cannot scale your business or that you do not deserve the success that you're getting? These beliefs shape how you show up at work, how you interact with others, and what risks are you willing to take. To create lasting change, you need to recognize these old myths and consciously rewire them. You've done it before. Every time you've faced a major challenge in life, you've adapted and came out stronger. Here are some ideas on how to make the change stick. First is recognizing that you've already adapted to big changes in your life. First, awareness is crucial, and then committing to making that new change an uncompromisable part of your daily routine. What you practice becomes what you're capable of repeating. Thirdly, create a clear vision of what life might look like when the change is fully integrated. When you have a clear sight of where do you want to end up, that can be a very motivating and leading factor for you to stick to performing the needed changes on a daily basis to see change. And so that change actually manifests itself through practice into the vision that you've developed beforehand. And four is stay aware of old thought patterns and replace them with new ones that align with where you want to go. You have the power to rewrite your story over and over again. You've done it before and you can do it now. Thank you for joining me today. But before we wrap up, I'd love to hear from you. What beliefs about yourself are you ready to change to unlock your next level success? And how will you start rewriting those beliefs today? And for those that are willing and wanting to share successes, share how your beliefs used to hold you back and what helped you to succeed. Feel free to share your thoughts with me on social media or drop a comment below. I'd love to continue this conversation with you. Remember, it all starts with self-awareness and believing in your ability to change. Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep writing your own epic story.